Yeah, on both sides of the ball. I think that there has been guys available, either draft or free agent or trade, but they really haven't pulled the trigger, and that's been the case for really a long time.
Yeah, back to Ted. I mean, Gutekunst came up under Ted, obviously, and
Ted almost refused to go with a veteran like Ron Wolf did with Frank Winters, Reggie White. Who else did he trade for? Sean Jones, Keith Jackson.
Yeah. The middle of the season, you guys pick up Andre Rison when you're just decimated at receiver.
Mark Ingram. And every one of those guys that I said had a huge impact on our success. Some during the Super Bowl, Andre Rison. We picked him up a few weeks before the Super Bowl, catches one of my most famous passes in my history in the National Football League, and it happens to be in a Super Bowl. And he didn't know the offense. He knew just enough to get by. But, again, a veteran guy who's been there and done that, not all of them pan out. But the Packers have just refused to go in that direction, for whatever reason.
I mean, draft and develop sounds great in theory, right? Draft players developing, they come up within your system, but man, it has blind spots, doesn't it? Because when you get out there on a Sunday and the bullets are flying, I mean, if you've got rookies and first and second year guys out there, their eyes can get wide and it's just different,
Yeah, the good thing about having a bunch of young guys is they're eager. They're gung-ho. And that's good. Where a 15-year veteran's like, hey, shut the hell up. I'll worry about the game when we kick it off. Don't play the game before you play it. But that's the young kid. I mean, I'm ready to go. But cool, calm, and collective a lot of times wins out. Kind of knowing the ropes, have been through it, been there, done that. Maybe not as fast as you once were, maybe not as strong as you once were, but you're a lot smarter. You're wily. Like Frank Winters, undrafted, was a deep snapper. We pick up Frank. He's in probably year 4 or 5. We hit it off. He's not the starting center. He ends up kind of by default getting that position. And he plays, 15, 16 years, has a wonderful career. Was Frank in year 10, 15, was he as strong, as fast? No, he was never strong and fast, but he was wild. And, if there was a lineup that you had to pick a center out of this just lineup of stud players, Frank would probably be the last one you pick because his bench press wasn't great. He didn't squat very much. He didn't, I don't know what 40 time, but none of that mattered. What mattered was he was wily, he was crafty, he was smart, and he was good because of that. And his instincts were off the charts. That's kind of what you get. I mean, you get that with a young player, but you don't know until that develops. So picking one of these guys up off the street or from another team can be a gamble, much like a draft pick. You draft the first round guy. He did great at Penn State, dominated. That doesn't mean he dominates at the next level. How many times we say, whatever happened to that guy, a first round pick or a high draft pick? And you got a guy that ends up beating a high draft pick out at any position. And you go, this guy played at Saginaw, Michigan. I mean, good Lord, no offense, but
yeah,
he beat the guy out from Penn State. I mean, it happens all the time. There's guys across the league that you go, where did he play college? And Charles Haley, James Madison. You go, really? I think Keith McKenzie played at Ball State.
Yeah. Yeah.
Had a great career. I could go on and on. For every Keith Jackson that played at a big time school, there's 10 guys that played at, you go, where did he play at? Or where was he?
Driver emerges out of Alcorn State, right? 7th round pick.
Track guy, played 1 year of football. Being a GM, having an eye for talent, having an eye for potential, because a lot of times it's like playing craps. You just roll the dice and you hope for the best. But there is some, and Ron Wolf, who we both know and love, had an eye for talent. And not only talent, I think that's an overused word. Instincts, passion, craftiness, like a Frank Winters, like just knows how to win. Just like I would say to Frank, during the course of the game, something would come up and I'm like, I say something like, don't hold. And he goes, it ain't holding if they don't call it.
Yeah.
That's the mentality from a good player, a crafty player. It's like, if I have to trip a guy to keep him from sacking the quarterback, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it accidentally. The good ones know how to do that. And that's what right now Green Bay lacks.